Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Back-to-School Community update. The school district is very excited to get started on the new school year. I'm Claudia Shea, the Director of Communications. Today, what we're going to be doing is sharing with you kind of a high-level overview of what students, parents, and staff can expect when they go back to school in just a few days on Tuesday, August 10th. Superintendent Mike Burke will begin regarding operations and health protocol and all information like that. Following the superintendent, Deputy Superintendent and Chief of Schools Ed Tierney, Chief Academic Officer Glenda Sheffield, Chief of Equity and Wellness Keith Oswald, Chief Operations Officer Wanda Paul, Chief of Human Resources Gonzalo LaCava, and Chief of School Police Dan Alexander will also share their respective updates from their departments. And now we begin with Superintendent Mike Burke.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Shea, and good afternoon and welcome, everybody. As you can see, this year's back-to-school theme is Your Time to Shine. I have put on my shiniest suit in celebration of this theme. But more seriously, that theme describes the district's optimism as our community slowly emerges from the uncertainty and disruption of the pandemic. We're excited to welcome everyone back to our campuses, and I know our students and our employees are ready to shine. I'm excited about my new role, and I look forward to working with the school board and our team to best meet and support our schools and our students. At the conclusion of last school year, the pandemic seemed to be loosening its grip a little bit. I think we were all hopeful and optimistic as we saw the rates decline and the vaccines become more readily available. And unfortunately, the situation as of late has kind of taken a turn for the worse. And we've had to kind of take a step back a little bit and make sure we double down on all our safety measures. I spent most of my first week on the job really kind of contemplating our district's COVID-19 protocols and given the heightened concerns around the Delta variant. Initially, I thought this issue was one for us to address at the local level. That'd be our decision. But that really changed last Friday with the governor's executive order, as I mentioned to the school board last night. But that executive order 21-175, coupled with the recent legislation that established the Parents' Bill of Rights that went into effect on July 1st, has really prohibited our district from enforcing a student facial covering requirement. After consulting with our Office of General Counsel and our colleagues around the state, I have no reason to believe at this time a legal challenge would be successful. And while I may question the governor's reasoning, there seems to be no question that the governor will do everything within his power to enforce his order. That includes potentially withholding our state funding and depriving us of the funds necessary to pay our employees. So that's a pretty serious threat that we had to take into consideration. We are monitoring the situation closely. Tomorrow, the State Board of Education is going to have an emergency meeting as they consider emergency rules to implement the governor's order. If anything should change after we see what these rules are, we'll react accordingly. That said, at this time, facial coverings for both our students and our staff are now strongly encouraged. And while there's no mandate, we really hope that people will make that decision thoughtfully and consider the environment we're in and consider the safety of not just themselves, but others. With our visitor policy, we are going to require facial coverings. So if to our parents and guardians that may be attending an on-school event, we ask you to please comply with this requirement and wear a facial covering. That will help us. We want to try to keep our schools and our employees that are working together each day in a bubble to the extent possible. So it just made sense to have that requirement for visitors that are coming on and off our campus and are not there day in and day out. And then again, a reminder, face coverings are most effective when we all wear them. Everyone in the room has them on. They protect not just yourself, but those around you. And I ask again that people please consider not just their own well-being or that of their child, but maybe of their child's classmates or the dedicated employees that are working there to serve our children as they make that decision to either mask or not mask. with the ever-changing health conditions, we're going to be monitoring this closely. And if we have to take a step back and reevaluate, or if conditions improve, we're going to check in every 30 days at a minimum to see if we need to adjust as we go on. The facial coverings get all the attention, right? That's in the headlines, and that's what everyone's talking about. But I do want to remind our community that our school district has gone well beyond just facial coverings. This last school year, we had multiple layers of protection. All of those measures are going to continue. And we got through last school year without ever having to close the school. And I attribute that to the leadership of our principals and also these measures that we put in place, which included enhanced cleaning and the use of electrostatic sprayers, the MERV 13 air filters put throughout our HVAC systems, the encouraging our students and providing opportunities for the frequent washing of hands, deployment of hand sanitizer that was readily available, disinfectant wipes in all of our classrooms throughout the year. And then with our partnership with the healthcare district and our school nurses, we're able to do rapid tests of any students that are symptomatic to see if they've potentially contracted COVID. So we're going to keep all that going. We're going to continue to social distance to the extent possible. Last year we had just a fraction of our students in the school buildings at a point in the year. So we were able to get to 6 feet in most cases. This year, with the full return to brick and mortar, that's not going to be possible. We're going to strive for 3 feet, but even 3 feet might be a stretch in schools that are fully occupied. But we will distance to the greatest extent possible as we go through the year. The outdoor dining was successful last year, and we're going to continue to expand on that. We'll be ordering more furniture for our school courtyards, the outdoor furniture with the patio tables and umbrellas, so students will have more options to eat outside. And one of the new things that we're doing, an added layer of protection, is the recent purchase of HEPA air purifiers. We've ordered 13,000 of these devices at a cost of nearly $6 million, and they started arriving on Monday. We're going to be deploying those first to our elementary schools and also to our school clinics or the nurse station, and then over the next few weeks we'll be able to have them fully deployed across all schools. And you hear $6 million, that's expensive, right? And everything we've done with COVID has been costly, and I want to just give credit to our federal government. The ESSER funds that we received, we've had 3 rounds of ESSER, the most recent being the American Rescue Plan, and that has really put us in a good position to not only just deal with the cost of COVID, but to deal with the academic and social emotional needs of our students, which we know are great. We've seen our state as a country, not just our state, the country in general. We knew this. We all suspected that student learning was going to suffer, and that has played out with the recent test results. And so that's part of the challenge, and we have these funds in place to try to remedy that and catch our students back up. But probably the more pressing issue is the social emotional side of things. We want to be prepared to meet the needs of our students and first welcome them back to our campuses, make sure they're doing well, and if they're anxious about things or have any concerns, we're there to help them. The referendum that was passed by our voters in 2018 has provided us, 2016, 2018, sorry. We now have a behavioral health specialist on every campus, thanks to that referendum. And the federal dollars will also allow us to augment that if needed with additional therapists and services as needed. So first things first will be to make sure our kids are doing well, get them the support they need, and then to dig into the catching up on any lost learning. Just to kind of start wrapping things up here, I think I've touched on most of what I planned to say. We're going to do everything within our power to keep our students and staff healthy and safe. We're excited to have our students return to the classroom. I truly believe, and this is documented by the research now, that in-person learning is truly what's best for them. Even the CDC has supported that students get back to the classroom. Health concerns aside, do everything you can to mitigate the risk, but get the students back into the classroom and try to stop this ongoing learning loss, and let's get things moving in the right direction. So that's what's exciting for me, to finally get the opportunity to get all our kids back on campus and let our teachers do what they do best. And let's get back to normal as much as possible. We're going to have all of our clubs, sports, activities. Everything is back online for the upcoming school year, and we're going to be as close to normal as possible. I'd just like to thank you all for your support of the School District of Palm Beach County and your cooperation as we all work together to have a great school year. And at this point, I'd like to invite Deputy Superintendent Mr. Ed Tierney to the podium to discuss additional health and academic protocols we're going to follow for the school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Burke. I'd like to begin by addressing the district's health and safety protocols as it will relate to our students and staff. A student or a member of the staff who tests positive for COVID must report that case to school within 24 hours. Additionally, they must remain home during the quarantine period as determined by the Florida Department of Health. That person may not return until he or she has completed the quarantine period and is symptom-free, including no fever of 104 for 24-hour period without fever-reducing medication. Students will have the opportunity to complete their work, and their absences will be excused. A student who has not been tested but who is exhibiting symptoms must also stay home. Contact tracing will take place at all district schools, facilities, and departments, regardless of student and/or staff population and vaccination status. Any individual within 6 feet of a confirmed COVID-positive individual who has spent 15 minutes cumulatively over a 24-hour period is considered for quarantine. Again, the length of the quarantine will be determined by the Florida Department of Health. The Florida Department of Health will cross-reference positive and/or exposure case individuals in their database to determine vaccination status and will provide recommendations for quarantine and/or isolation afterwards. This school year, the district, through school nurses provided by the Palm Beach County Healthcare District, will once again conduct COVID testing on symptomatic students who have permission slip on file and only after their parents are called once again to verify their consent before any test is administered. While the district strongly encourages those who are eligible for the vaccine to become immunized, the COVID vaccine is not mandatory for students or staff. The district continues to operate 4 vaccination sites in coordination with the healthcare district. These sites will close on August 8th, but we are exploring other opportunities to continue to help offer this vaccine. All of this information, including quarantining updates and much more, is available on the district website at palmbeachschool.org/backtoschool2021. I also encourage our staff to become familiar with the updated COVID protocol on the hub. Now I'd like to turn your attention to how the district is addressing COVID-19 related unfinished learning and pre-existing academic achievement gaps. We've been working very hard this abbreviated summer to prepare for this critically important year for our students. We recognize our obligation to our students to not only teach the current standards, but to identify and mitigate any losses that our students experienced last year. Our teachers and administrators and school-based staff worked diligently last year and most recently over the summer at our academic academies. We are extremely proud of and grateful for their efforts. That being said, we have a lot of work to do this year for our students to accelerate them to the greatest extent possible. We are working very closely with Dr. Sheffield, our Chief Academic Officer, and her team to ensure that schools, regional offices, and the academic team are constantly communicating to make sure we're offering the best possible instruction and monitoring of learning. Before calling Dr. Sheffield to the podium to discuss the district's student academic support plan, I'd like to share that this fall, sporting events and extracurricular activities will resume among heightened COVID safety protocols. We strongly believe that resuming a close to normal school experience will benefit our students academically, emotionally, and socially. I cannot overstate the benefits of returning to in-person instruction. Students thrive while learning among friends with a caring adult. While in-person instruction is the best fit for most families, students also have a remote instructional option through Palm Beach Virtual School. Enrollment for the K-12 students is open, and if you would like to learn more, please visit palmbeachschools.org/palmbeachvirtual. And with that, I invite Dr. Sheffield to the podium to address the academic outlook for the new school year.
Thank you, Mr. Turney. Good afternoon. The Elementary and the Secondary School Emergency Release Fund, as known to many of us as ESSER, definitely has provided the district efforts in mitigating the instructional loss that many of our students have encountered during this COVID-19. The district definitely will be utilizing these funds that have been allotted to support our schools using a tiered approach for the students and schools that are mostly in need. These funds are going to assist with addressing the teaching expertise at critical points with professional learning, and most importantly, we're going to be very strategic in terms of offering those supports to our teachers. In the meantime, while strategizing the support that will be provided to our schools, the district that will be implemented, I should say, in the phase 2 of this academic support plan. That is known to us as SASP, and you've heard much about it because we've started our student academic support plan in phase 1 this past spring, where we talked about the additional tutorial services and the work that we did over the summer. And now that we're in phase 2 is what I'm going to touch bases on, as we know that the SAS plan is going to assist us in codifying the district's approach to addressing these instructional gaps. We as a district, we do recognize that with the disparities in student achievement, it existed way before COVID, but we definitely know that COVID has widened these instructional gaps. Despite these challenges, the district academic team has utilized this opportunity in working with us, Mrs. Fetterman and the team, to rethink both short and long-term academic support to increase student achievement and to collaborate across the department in leveraging the resources that is identified within phase 2 of our student academic support plan. As our top priority continues as a district to be maximizing the instructional opportunities for our students, the anticipated instructional areas of focus that are within phase 2 of our plan and what we're wanting to provide the support to our schools, of course, it's going to focus a lot in the areas of literacy and mathematics. Based on the tiering and the school level, schools could have received one or more of the following resources to assist in mitigating these instructional losses of our students. At the elementary level, our elementary schools will have an opportunity based on their data metrics to have experienced a reading recovery teacher on their campus, an acceleration teacher, a K2 SAI teacher that would work with their K2 students, and professional learning communities facilitators. And a professional learning community facilitators, known as our PLC facilitators, is not just going to be on the elementary campuses for those schools that have been identified, but also on our middle and high school campuses. At the secondary level, these schools, based again on their data matrix, could see some additional supports in the areas of English language arts, an additional resource teacher, math resource teacher, intensive reading teacher, an intensive math teacher, and again, a graduating support teacher, which this graduation support teacher is to, most importantly, help those students to make certain that we are graduating them within their cohort. Additionally, all schools will receive tutorial dollars, which will allow school-based leaders an opportunity to develop additional learning opportunities for our students during and after school. It is important for myself to stress that these additional resources previously mentioned are being provided to schools to allow teachers, I should stress teachers, the additional support to increase opportunities for our students to where they could receive the remediation and/or enrichment that is needed to ensure our students' academic success. As I indicated earlier, what we do know that within the past year and a half, that in dealing with COVID, the instructional gaps have widened. And it is indeed going to take not just the work we did this past spring, the work we did this past summer, and the work that we're planning to do this academic year. It's going to be years for us to continue to combat these COVID losses. In closing, again, the district recognizes that our students have experienced these varying instructional gaps. As I indicated, we also recognize that a systematic approach to assisting our students with these instructional gaps, it is necessary, and that these gaps, as I will continuously say, will not be closed during this academic year alone. Because of such, it is extremely important to know that this district team here is continuing to work on phase 3 of the Student Academic Support Plan. In essence, our goal is to create an academic support plan, which is a continuous process that is going to address the ongoing academic and should say the social and emotional needs of all of our students, where Mr. Oswald is going to talk about coming up. To the district's phenomenal school principals and awesome teachers and the district staff, before I take my seat, I just have to thank you for your leadership, as it is indeed our time to shine. Last year, we were forced to create these systems and utilize skills that we didn't know existed, and many of these new skills we have acquired will remain part of our daily work, because it has allowed us to be more efficient and more effective. And I am indeed looking forward to welcoming back our awesome teachers, students, and families. And I'm going to say to my teachers that if you're listening, one of my favorite quotes from an unknown author: "To the world, you may be just a teacher, but to your students, you are a hero." Thank you for returning to the classrooms and being prepared and getting ready to welcome our students and their families on this coming Tuesday, August 10th. I cannot say enough to the community. Just thank you for all that you have done in supporting the district as we are navigating in these unforeseen times. And we will continue to do what we need to do as a district in mitigating these instructional losses and working very closely with our students and their families, taking one step at a time. At this time, I'm going to introduce Mr. Oswald, our Chief of Equity and Wellness.
Thank you, Dr. Sheffield, and good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Sheffield did a nice job outlining all the effects of the pandemic on student learning, but we know that the pandemic has also played a role when it comes to students' mental health. The pandemic has taken a toll on many of us here in this room. We've all experienced loss. We've all have not connected with individuals like we've used to. This has also played a toll with our students. We know that the mental health has been affected, and the school district has been preparing for the return of students and addressing those needs. And also, I think what was really pretty cool with the Olympics, I'm sure some of us have been watching that, mental health has also played a role there. We've seen that a light shined on the issues that mental health, that it's okay to be okay, that it's okay not to be okay, and that it's okay to ask for help. And I want to repeat that. It's okay to be okay, it's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. And we want our students and families to ask for help, because thanks to the voters here in Palm Beach County, as mentioned by Superintendent Burke, the referendum has put a wealth of resources on our school campuses. Mr. Burke mentioned about the behavioral health professional that is on every single one of our school campuses. But the referendum also supported additional school counselors. It supported additional school psychologists. We have co-located services on our school campuses, and I want to stress what this means. We partner with many community agencies that provide mental and behavioral health supports to students, and we have them right on our school campuses. We started this a couple years ago, and the numbers are extraordinary about families accessing these resources. So we've been preparing for additional access to those resources as well on our school campuses. Also, we have what's called the CAPE team. And no, they don't wear CAPE, but they are the Crisis Assessment Prevention Evaluation team. So these teams respond to a school campus when a student's in the middle of a crisis, working closely with our school police department. We have extensive community partners. We partner with Be Well, Palm Beach County, Birth to 22. We have agencies that we partner for long-term support services for our students. We are modeled here in Palm Beach County around these resources. So each of these groups of individuals have been preparing this summer with additional training to ensure that we're ready to handle the preparations that we anticipate additional support that's going to be needed for our students. Just to give you some examples, our school counselors went through a training called Resilience Builder. This provides additional support to students experiencing anxiety or needing support in self-regulation or social interaction by teaching coping skills and pro-social behaviors. Resiliency is an important word and topic. You know, it's how we respond to challenges that we are faced with on a day-to-day basis. Some of us respond pretty well and are able to get back right on our feet when experiencing challenges. However, we know that some of us, even as adults, need additional support. We want to make sure that we're doing that for our students. Zones of regulation, another training, PALS mentoring program, skills for psychology recovery, trauma-focused practices, wraparound training. I could go on and on about the training that our team has gone through this year, in particular to prepare for the impact and the needs of our students upon return. And not only have these individuals been supporting, but we know it takes the whole community and the whole school to support. So our school principals have also been preparing for their campuses as well by really following some model practices by national organizations. So building a safe and compassionate school community, building relationships where we're building relationships with students. We know that it takes one caring adult to make a difference in a student life. So we want to make sure each and every single one of our students has a caring adult. Working with partners to support student and staff mental health. So not only our students, but our staff as well. A lot of the partners that I mentioned earlier. And acknowledging and addressing grief. So those who have actually seen the loss of a loved one, a sibling, some other family, we want to be able to make sure that we're providing that support as well. Our students have not been on campuses for some of them for probably a year and a half. So the routines that have been built in the past, and routines are really important when it comes to student success, have been, left by the wayside. So we need to make sure that we quickly reestablish those routines to ensure that our students can build the resiliency skills that they need. Also, I want to mention, in addition to those resources, if families need help and know that their child needs additional mental behavioral health support, to contact their school immediately to get set up with one of these professionals. We also have our Caring First website. You can see that listed right here, which is an additional resource parents can go and search for additional supports. Also, we know that many of our families, parents have lost jobs and employment and may be experiencing some type of homelessness. Homelessness can be even where families are doubled up in the same household. The district has additional resources. Again, if you go to the student and parent webpage and go down there about in the middle, there's a homelessness click. We can go up for additional resources. If you are experiencing homelessness, we can provide additional resources, everything from school uniforms, backpacks, many other additional supports, as well as we partner with the community agencies here in Palm Beach County for long-term support for our families experiencing homelessness. And lastly, when it comes to school safety is obviously a top priority. I'm not trying to take Chief Alexander's role here, but I do want to talk about that, we don't want to see our students make poor mistakes that can affect them for the long term. So I just want to remind our parents and guardians that the school district does have a zero tolerance policy. So, and this really talks about where students may bring inappropriate items to schools that can have serious consequences. Such thing as vaping, paraphernalia, items that could be considered a weapon. Also making serious threats have serious ramifications to a student's potential record. So it's important that you talk to your child about these issues. We will be sending home a welcome letter from Mr. Burke out to our students on the first day of school. On the back of that, we'll outline a little bit more detail about our zero tolerance policy so that families can remind their students about this. So again, if you are in need of additional resources, strongly encourage you to quickly reach out to your school family to support you. You can also call us here at the school district to make sure we get the support you need. At this time, I have the pleasure to introduce the extraordinary Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Wanda Paul.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to thank the operations team for making sure that our schools are ready to open. We are so excited about the opening of schools. I want to kind of give you a picture of what that will look like. So some of it has already been covered a little bit by Mr. Burke, but I just want to make sure that you understand that we've tried to do all of the mitigation strategies to make our parents and students feel comfortable about coming back to our schools. I'll start with the school food service department. So what's really remarkable is that this year, again, we'll have free breakfast and lunch for all of our students. They do not need to prepare an application or put in an application. All students will receive their meals in line, in the lunch line as before. We'll be offering a variety of menu items and a la carte items. That's fancy for, individual items. Grab-and-go carts are available for breakfast and lunch, and social distancing will be encouraged to the extent possible. You can make prepayments for additional items that you may want at www.schoolcashonline.com. We'll have a touch-free checkout this year, and what the students will need is their student ID or student ID number. Full implementation of the new touch-free system will be implemented no later than October the 4th. In regards to community feeding, meals are now only available for students on campus. Weekend meals will not be provided at this time. Take-home snacks will be offered at selected schools Monday through Friday and may include Saturday and Sunday. So the superintendent already spoke about some of the COVID cleaning protocols, but I'm just going to review them. And basically what we're establishing are layers of protection for our children and our staff. MERV 13 filters have been in place since the last school year. Outdoor air intake has been optimized with relative humidity considerations. A new introduction of air purifiers, and they're being delivered daily by the truckload. The order of delivery are school clinics, ESE classrooms, elementary schools, and then secondary classrooms. Each campus also has an electrostatic sprayer that they can use, and this is what we said last school year also. Custodial procedures will remain the same as last school year. Enhanced cleaning throughout the day will continue. Schools have been provided with disinfectant wipes for additional cleaning opportunities. And then also supplemental sanitization by licensed contractors will be used as needed. Transportation. New this year, we started this in July of this year, register your ride. So it's actually student online registration. And I believe we're the only school district that actually does, that have this option available. So I think that's pretty cool. Students will be assigned seats based on their stop order for pickup and drop off. Assignments will be from front to back of the bus to minimize contact and maximize social distancing. Facial coverings are optional but highly encouraged. Drivers will continue to sanitize high-touch areas on vehicles between routes. Buses will be sanitized monthly using the electrostatic sprayers that I spoke of earlier. Regular routes will be followed and adjustments made as needed for ridership. Social distancing is encouraged to the extent possible. Attendance will be taken. Students not in attendance for 10 consecutive days may need to re-register for the school bus. In addition, if parents feel more comfortable driving their student to school for the first couple of weeks, we appreciate that. Our transportation numbers, we have approximately 562 routes. Regular routes are 374, special ed routes are 188, and we have 559 bus drivers as of today. We have a job fair going on right now, so if any of you are interested in getting your CDL, it's right down the street. And our mock bus runs happened yesterday and will happen on the 6th. So they're big yellow buses. Please do not hit them. If you have any concerns, please call our transportation call center at 561-357-1110. They're open from Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and this Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. In addition, I just want to thank the taxpayers for approving the 2016 sales tax referendum. We're very excited about the opening of our modernized and renovated schools. We have a new school opening, Addison Meisner, K-8. This is an expansion to 628. Previously, it was elementary school only. And then we have the modernization of Washington Elementary School. Both very beautiful schools, and I hope you get a chance to see them. We also remodeled some schools, Pomosa School of the Arts, and with the addition of a grade 6 through 8, and we're excited about that. And again, we've never stopped working. We had over 21 facility renewal projects that continue through this summer, and we have several minor projects that are not as appealing as a new school, like drainage, walkway, and stairway projects. So we're excited, as I said before, about the start of school. And I want to bring up Dr. LaCava, who is our Chief of Human Resources. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ms. Paul, for the information. I just first want to take the time to thank our students and our parents. I know that this has been a very difficult year for everybody. I know some of our kids went back to school, some stayed home, but I know that people are excited now to go back. So I just want to thank the students and parents for your patience with us and welcome you back to another school year. I also want to thank the teachers. That's what really matters the most, our teachers. And I just want to thank you for your patience as well. We can't wait to see you back in the classroom again this year, working with all our kids. And then finally, I just want to thank all our staff members, because I know in human resources to operations to academics are working extremely hard to get the work done. There's still a lot of work to be done in the next couple of months to get every teacher in the classroom right now. So also, I just want to thank all the new teachers that we've hired. You may not know this, but we've had over 1,800 staff members hired in the last 3.5 months. About 1,000 of those are teachers, and then about 800 of those are non-instructional staff. And this has been a different kind of year in regards to hiring staff because it's a shortened summer. And then in addition to that, our enrollment we're monitoring enrollment pretty closely. That's what drives our teachers and how many teachers we hire. So some of our schools are waiting to see how many kids will be coming back. We hope every single child comes back, but that's what really drives our staff allocations. But again, special education teachers, it's what we continue to look for in this district. I think across the country we're looking for special education teachers. And then, of course, elementary teachers as well. So that's where we are pushing really hard to make sure that every single one of our schools has a quality teacher in front of kids. That's the number one goal for human resources as well. One of the things I just want to mention for those that are new to the county that are looking for an instructional job, we are one of the highest paying districts in the state of Florida. We start our teachers at $47,500. And of course, a big thank you to the taxpayers in Palm Beach County Schools. Because of the referendum, we're able to provide our teachers based on experience, $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000 additional dollars based on experience. So if you're listening and you're interested in teaching, or if you have questions, please make sure that you look at our website and go to the Human Resources Division website, click on careers, and it'll give you a lot of information. Also, please give us a call if you're interested. We are, we want you to work in Palm Beach. It's one of the most successful school districts in the state of Florida, in the nation, so we would love to have you as a teacher here. Also, over COVID, we had some challenges with substitute teachers. Substitute teachers, we lacked them. A lot of people were nervous about coming into the classroom, so we struggled with subs. This summer we went out and we did a lot more recruiting. And, if you have 30 semester hours in an accredited college or university, you can sub here in Palm Beach County schools, and we are always looking for quality substitute teachers to be in front of our students because they need substitute teachers just as they need great teachers. So again, if you have questions around that, you can call our HR Care Center at 561-434-8777 for more information, or you can look at our website as well. The other thing I want to let every employee know, staff member know, that we have a great HR customer service and award-winning customer service. They're there to answer any questions that you may have, whether it's certification to salary and compensation, retirement, loan forgiveness, leaves of any kind. Please reach out to our HR Care Center. They're there to answer your questions. We keep them busy. We're expecting a lot more calls as the year gets going. But please do that again. That number to the HR Care Center is 561-434-8777. You can also reach askhr@palmbeachschools.org. And we have a rule to get back to everybody within 24 hours, so we're looking for those calls as well. I know Mr. Tierney mentioned a lot of the COVID policies and protocols. I just want to make one more comment about that. If you have questions or you're concerned or you're experiencing symptoms or you've been exposed and you have questions, please call the Department of Health. That's to be the front line. Get your information from them. But we're also well equipped at the HR Customer Care Center to answer your questions as well. We're continuing to retrain. There's new FAQs that are coming out. And also, the new FAQs will really answer a lot of the new scenarios that are coming out and questions that you may have. So go into the COVID website, the one that we've had up for the last 16 months. It will give you that information. And, again, if they have any questions, if anybody in the district or staff, employees have questions, please contact us at the HR Customer Care Center. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Alexander. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. LaCava. Excitement seems to be a recurring theme. We at the police department are also excited to see our students back in our schools this year for in-person instruction. We plan to have a district police officer greet each and every one of you at our campuses on August 10th. This year, we are continuing to emphasize the theme that we are all school safety. Specifically, we want to remind you that you are our eyes and ears at each one of our schools, and we are pleased to introduce a new school safety tool called SaferWatch. The SaferWatch app will include 3 key elements. The mobile panic solution will allow our district employees to instantly report emergencies occurring at our schools, and it will bring us in compliance with Alyssa's law. The emergency alert function will allow us to send important information to our app users. The tip solution will allow users to send us information about suspicious activity, providing us with location information and a platform that directly integrates into our incident command center. Please turn your attention to the screen for a brief video. Really excited about this app and its potential to increase school safety. Again, if you see something, say something, and now we ask you to send something. Tools and technology are important to effectively police our campuses, but we also want to remind you of what we've been saying from time to time here today about uncertainty. There is a lot of uncertainty out there. What's unique about your school police department is we've established relationships with our kids that are impactful, and so we want our students to know that we're there for them as they transition back onto our campuses. In closing, I want to thank you for partnering with us in our mission to protect every student, every school, every day. I'm pleased to welcome Ms. Shea back to the podium.
Thank you, Chief. And members of the media, if you'd like a copy of that video, we'll make it available to you. We shared a lot of information with you over the last almost hour. And I would also like parents at home to know that all of this information is also readily available on our mobile app. So you can download that app or go to our website that Mr. Tierney mentioned, palmbeachschools.org/backtoschool2021. And just like Dr. LaCava has, he has a helpline for our employees in HR or people who would like to work for the district. In communications, we also have a helpline in place, and it is staffed during regular business hours with English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole operators. The number to call is 561-969-5840. And now we have time for a few back-to-school related questions. And members of the media, if you have a question, can you please just approach the microphone right there?
Hi, Anna Espinosa with WPBF 25 News. So it wasn't really discussed too much during this presentation, but it was brought up during the school board meeting. Can someone explain what the protocol will be for students that are quarantining in terms of their makeup work, or if they will be allowed to join those classes virtually, because we are having parents that are concerned that virtual isn't an option this year. And so what happens when their students are quarantining?
Right, that's a state mandate that we can't do district learning this year. And the website that we mentioned, the Back to School webpage, that also has a lot more information on that. We also have a COVID webpage, and that will take you directly to the health department. I believe we mentioned that the health department is who determines quarantine length. But no matter if you've been vaccinated or you're wearing a mask or whatever, if a child is confirmed to be positive, everyone in a 6-foot radius will be involved in the contact tracing. We give that information over to the Department of Health, then they follow up, and then they decide who quarantines and the length of time in which they will be quarantining. And would you like to come on up, Dr. Sheffield, and explain how kids will actually make up the work?
Yes, as Mrs. Shea indicated, the governor absolutely has said that there is no distance learning. So with there not being any distance learning, and we do not have that option of to where we can do the synchronous teaching or what have you, to where our students that would have to quarantine will be able to log in through a Google Meet and watch the class. That's not an option for us. So what we are currently doing is that right now we have, as a team, we are working with our instructional continuity site that we used when we launched distance learning back March of 2020, or what have you. So in launching that site, and all of our schools will be following the district scope and sequence. So now what we're doing, we're going to be providing clear guidance and working with our principals in regards to those students that would have to quarantine, to where they will get a flyer with the directions in regarding to navigating on our instructional continuity site, to where they would be able to pick up with that scope and sequence. And from there, we're also going to be providing an opportunity to where some of our teachers, those that are wanting in regards for an additional supplement, to where the teachers will be able to do office hours. But these are the pieces that we're continuing to work with and navigate here at the district office. So we do have a plan in place that we're working on. We're now just outlining and preparing for our students. So I do not want the parents to wonder in regards to the students not having an opportunity to partake, and we are not concerned about it. We would love to continue the distance learning, but we cannot. So we are working through our instructional continuity site and working through some other pieces to where we can work outside of the normal school day, to where we are and we're abiding by our laws, state mandates.
Anything else you would say to parents that are concerned that their kids might fall behind because of this?
Well, what I would say to parents, at this point, the open communication is just going to be so important. And we understand where the parents are concerned about, their child, their son or daughter. We are too. And we are concerned about all 180,000+ students that we're trying to prepare for. And so we're just thinking and wanting and looking for every way in terms of what we can do to support our parents, support our students, and most importantly, support our teachers, and staying within the guidelines of what the governor said, what's allowed and what's not allowed. And we will be sharing with Mr. Burke and the exec leadership on Monday in regards to what our plans are in working with the families, as well with our principals, board members, and the community at large.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Scott Travis with the Sun Sentinel. On the issue of masks, there was new information that came out today that the State Board of Education is going to be meeting tomorrow to vote on vouchers for kids that do not want to go to a school where there's a mask mandate, which then brings the question, can schools do mask mandates again? Because that's, why else would you need a voucher if the school doesn't have a mask mandate? So is that going to change what the district does?
Mr. Burke?
Mr. Travis, good to see you. As you said, there's a state board meeting tomorrow. I actually heard that a little bit differently. I saw one exchange where it was a parent wanted to go to a school where there would be mask mandated. And so they were referred to a private school and how they may be able to get a voucher to pay for that private school, which struck me as, somewhat ironic. But we're going to be watching that meeting carefully tomorrow. If there's, as we understand it now, we are not allowed, or we're not able to enforce a mask mandate anyway. That through the Parents' Bill of Rights, the student may arrive on our campus and just say, no, my parents have told me I don't have to wear a mask, and that's the end of it. If we're afforded any more flexibility through that state board meeting tomorrow, then we'll reassess and see what we can do. I've seen some districts where it might be semantics, where they're saying, we have a mandate, but you're not obligated to follow it. You can opt out. At the end of the day, that's still optional. So we're being upfront with everyone. We're trying to really let people know how much we're strongly encouraging masks and ask them to make a wise choice. And if we get any more latitude from the state, we will quickly huddle and reassess and bring options to our school board. But that's where things stand today.
Mr. Burke, this is Matt Lincoln with CBS 12 News. On a related note there, what latitude do you have when you say strongly enforce? Is that you standing up there on this microphone and saying something, or is something going to be said within schools? Is there something going to be given out to parents? Are teachers allowed to educate their students about how important masks are? What does strongly encourage mean?
Strongly encourage means just that if it was up to us, we'd strongly encourage you to wear the mask. It's not up to us. It's up to your parents or the parents. So we'd ask the parents to, take advantage of the information that's available in the news every day, to survey their local health conditions and make that decision, knowing that people who are in the business and who are charged with running the school district are strongly encouraging them to wear a mask.
Thank you.
For some students, this is going to be their first time back in the classroom in like a year and a half. What would you say to a student who's really nervous about going back to school and not having another option, and right now masks are going to be optional?
Well, I would first say welcome back. And as we've said, throughout this press conference, we really feel like being back on school campus is what's best for them, both academically and socially, emotionally. If they're nervous, I would say, wear your mask. Come on in. We're going to be taking other measures to keep you safe. And if you have any, if you're anxious about something, if you're not feeling 100%, please reach out to your counselor or your teacher, and we are well prepared to try to just address whatever concerns the student may have.
I have a question about contact tracing. I don't know who would answer that. I'll just ask it and we can see.
Ask it and then
see
I'll
what sticks.
take it as far as I can.
Contact tracing, it's been something just public health-wise that has been difficult. Now you're going to have everybody back on campus, and 3 feet when possible, 6 feet. It's going to be tighter quarters. how reasonable is contact tracing going to be? And could this send a lot of kids into quarantine based on what the contact tracing comes back with?
So we're prepared for that. I think the numbers would obviously be higher the more densely populated our schools are, our school buses. But you heard Ms. Paul talk about, our buses are going to have a seating chart. Our schools, we're going to keep track of where the students are sitting. We're going to work then with the Department of Health and, furnish the names so that they can then take it. They really take it from us at that point. We hand the ball off to them. They take it. They start running down and doing the probing questions and trying to determine who may need to quarantine.
One last question with WPBF 25 News. Right now we're seeing more kids being hospitalized because of the Delta variant. What would you say to parents that, last year they saw you guys push back the start of brick and mortar because of these increases in cases, and now we're seeing more children being hospitalized, and now it's masks strongly encouraged, extracurriculars back, sports back, events back, everyone back. So what would you say to parents that are extremely concerned by this?
Well, were you asking if we should, about pushing back to start a school, or you just
I'm
reflecting on
referencing
what
that
happened
last year, the
Okay.
start of brick and mortar was pushed back because of the cases, and now we're seeing more cases, more hospitalizations.
Right. Well, we're starting on August 10th as planned. I think most parents are counting on us to have our schools open and be there for their students. I'm a parent myself. I think our parents are going to have to, really it's an individual decision. They're going to have to weigh their choices. Unfortunately, their choices are limited this year because the governor's executive order that allowed us that hybrid approach has sunset. So their choices, brick and mortar or Palm Beach virtual. And as a parent at this point, after a year and a half of seeing our kids fall behind, I would send my child to school. I'd put the mask on them and tell them to wash their hands every chance they get. And, when they're outside, go ahead and take the mask off and play and be a kid. And let's get on with our lives.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's news conference. Thank